Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest Podcast, where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm one of your incredible hosts, Mr. Jackson Glass, and I'm here with, as always, the incredible second place sexiest man alive, Mr. Nick Barrett.
That's
How
right.
are you today, sir?
I lost to Ryan Reynolds. I'm good. I am a little tired because I actually have to pack for my trip home because I'm going home for Christmas break. So I have to pack and all that as soon as we finish recording, but also edit this episode as soon as we finish recording so that way it can be out on time. So life is busy and that is a constant that will never change.
Amen, brother. I had a thought last night where it was, I love Christmas. December is my favorite month of the year. But God, give me a break.
No,
let me
honestly,
go to sleep.
Let me sleep. No?
Let me sleep.
Oh, okay.
So there is, I feel like I get to a point near the end of December where I'm just like, I need to go back to normal.
Yeah, I understand that. And no, that's what December 26th through the 31st is.
Yeah. Well,
it's just back to normal.
I call that week Christmas hangover, where everyone is just like, well, what do I do now? But that's actually a lawless land of when Santa cannot see if you're good or bad. So it's kind of like the
do
purge.
Whatever you want. It's the morally gray week of the year.
It's like Christmas purge. So
yeah, just do
take
whatever
with that
you want.
as you
want
will.
to be good all year so that Santa will bring you a gift. And then if you really still want to shove your grandma down the stairs, go for it. Just right down the stairs.
Sorry, Grammy. But
December 25th, as soon as your present is delivered, down the stairs.
If we're honest, that last week from December to New Year kind of feels like an apocalypse because all the stores are empty. It's always gray outside. Everyone is exhausted by that point. So it's like The Walking Dead. That's
actually
fine.
Wait, no. That starts on December 27th because December 26th is when you go and do all your returns, exchanges, all that stuff.
It's when you spend your gift cards.
yeah. Spend all your gift cards on the gifts that you thought you were going to get, but you didn't. Speaking of which, I actually put a fail-safe in my Christmas presents. By the way, we will get to No Way Home. Believe me, we both have a lot of things to say.
Just give me 2 seconds.
My mom called me the other day and she was like, hey, I got $50 from one of your relatives for a Christmas gift. What kind of gift card do you want? And I was like, oh, I'll take a GameStop gift card. Because I'm like, there's a ton of games coming out next year, and I'll buy them eventually. It'll get used. And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'll use it eventually. And then I thought to myself, I was like, if I don't get Mario Party, which is one of the only games I put on my list, if I don't get Mario Party, then I've got $50 down on going to get Mario Party.
I'm saying. But so, we're at, if you're a Nintendo Switch fan, a $50 gift card will get you most of a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of a game.
I mean, listen, the way I see it is I'm only paying $10 for a brand new game.
Hey, I'm saying. Hey, you know what I did yesterday?
You know what I did 2 days ago?
You want to know what I did yesterday?
You know what I did 2 days ago?
You want to know what I did yesterday?
I saw No Way Home.
Oh my gosh, that's what I did yesterday.
Whoa, that's
Serious?
crazy. It's almost
we should do a podcast about that.
Yeah, we should. That's not what we were going to talk about today, but we probably could.
Okay. Well, since
just
I saw it
change topics mid-episode. Yeah. I mean, it was a movie. I definitely have things I want to say about it.
We were going to talk about musical movies, but I guess we'll have to push that to next year.
Yeah.
So,
2022 problems, am I right?
Yeah, whatever. You see, I'm kind of setting myself up for failure the way I say next year, but really that's next week. So, well, 2 weeks, but
technically, yes.
Yeah.
I will say, for anyone listening to No Way Home, we're just going to jump straight into spoilers. Consider this your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, why the heck did you even press play on this episode before you saw the movie? You knew exactly what to expect. We shouldn't have to market spoilers.
Thank you for pressing play, even though you didn't see the movie. We love you, but go watch it.
Yeah, go watch the movie.
It's
and
worth
then come
seeing
back.
spoiler-free.
Yes.
I will say anyone has seen it spoiler-free.
I mean, I didn't see it spoiler-free. Somebody put freaking Spanish spoilers on one of my Twitter posts. My goodbye Twitter post, someone put the spoilers on it. I was like, man.
This is the point. Stop right here. Spoilers.
No, they should have stopped
So
a while
Tom
ago.
Holland dies.
Oh, man, I was literally about to say, so guys, Spider-Man dies.
Dies.
I mean,
I mean, Loki.
Peter Parker dies,
Um,
in a sense.
It's so funny because I saw it with my whole family, and Sam's my older sister. She essentially watched it spoiler free because she didn't keep up with anything. Anything
That
she
was
knew
the best way to watch this movie.
anything she knew about it was from me. So I need
General thoughts, go.
general thoughts for me.
On the spot.
So
No deliberating, go.
I have not been so excited for a movie in literal years. I think the last time I was this excited for a movie was probably The Force Awakens, maybe Infinity War. Like this was a big deal to me, and I was legitimately like, we were about to leave, and I could not sit still. I was like this 6-year-old kid that was about to get ice cream. Like I was like, no way home, and I was the most excited person in my family. We went to the theater. I saw a couple people that I actually knew there. It was like, this was like an event. I was like, I am going to experience this movie in the theater with a ton of other people. It will be a spiritual experience. And so I went in, saw trailers, and I was like, all right, Uncharted, who cares? Tom Holland is kind of being typecast, but I'll talk about that later.
I think Uncharted is his last movie for a while.
I kind of
Because he said he was taking a break from acting.
I kind of feel like it should be, because we've gotten like a lot of Tom Holland saturation. I'd hate to end up hating him, but anyway, it started like that Marvel thing came on, and it like opened with like Jake Gyllenhaal's voice, and I was like, it's happening. And it started, and I was thrilled, to say the least. I was like giddy throughout the whole thing. I kid you not, had to have cried 8 separate times. Like it's different. 8 separate times in this movie. It was an emotional roller. I mean, like tears down my face, crying. So yeah, I was very emotionally invested. Like I was engrossed in this movie. I was Spider-Man No Way Home. You know those memes you see? Where it's like 11-year-old me leaving the theater, completely changing my personality to fit the main character. Like I was like, the world didn't exist for like 2.5
You were
hours.
depressed. Nobody knows who you were. You lost your girlfriend and your aunt and everyone
And I
you
was-
knew
well,
in the same
It was
day?
more of like, I absorbed everything from the movie, and it became who I was for about 3 hours. Like I was No Way Home.
So you just lived out the duration of the movie.
Yes.
After you saw
Yes.
it. Okay.
Like I was on such a high. And so when where he goes, I just want to see Peter Parker, and does the portal, and then like there's a Spider-Man at the end, and then it's like, and so he gets closer, and I went like I rose up a little, and then like it came out, and it was obviously like not Tom Holland. It's like, hold on, and then Toby came out, and he got a lot older from the original Spider-Man that he was in, but he still looks great. And like the Spider-Man banter between all of them was so funny, and like all the villains were really cool. Like I felt like years of closure together with like all of the different Spider-Mans and their villains, and like William Dafoe's performance was phenomenal. That man is 66 years old and did all of his own stunts. Let me tell you, he's a legend. Like, deeply engrossed. I felt like Tom Holland's Spider-Man was like done so much justice, and I was impressed. They managed to make it about him and not about everything else that was happening. And I was really impressed by that. I have a couple problems with the movie. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
No way.
So, I liked the second half of the movie a lot better than the first half. The first half to me, at points, I felt like it was just a montage to set up the second half. I felt like it was going really fast, and it was just like information dump to like make so that we could have the big reveal of like these, like the other Spider-Men. And so I wasn't a huge fan of that, but like I was still really engrossed, and I feel like I go back and forth on if I liked the ending, because on one hand, you know, he had to do what he had to do. He had to give up everything he loved to save them all. And that is like the essence of Spider-Man. But I also think that him and MJ are like the greatest couple ever, and like they had their huge emotional scene before, and so I was kind of crushed that they couldn't be together. But that also means like I also love an unconventional ending, so I don't know. This movie, it gets a 10 out of 10 from me. It is so good. And I'm ready for you to just completely disagree. Completely disagree. I read your Letterboxd review, and I'm emotionally preparing myself for you to hurt my feelings.
Swinging in the no pun intended. Swinging in the complete opposite direction. This movie was a train wreck of a mess.
No.
Yes. No. Like,
no.
Starting from the halfway point, this movie, like, it went down in terms of quality. Straight down. And let me tell you why. It was great to see, like, basically the conclusion of the whole, like, Mysterio leaking Spider-Man's, like, revealing that, oh, he's Peter Parker. Like, oh, obviously we've waited 2 years, and there was that whole debacle with Sony, so we thought we're never going to get it. So it was nice to see the conclusion to that. But then after that, like, it just felt like there were a lot of contrivances that didn't make sense. Like, for example, I remember when the trailer initially came out and, like, Doctor Strange messed up the spell. They were like, okay, well, Peter, why don't you just go tell those people that you're Spider-Man? Well, then they explain, oh, the spell is a lot deeper than that. You basically just get wiped from existence, like you never existed. So you can't do that. So, and of course, Peter's like, hey, and he keeps, like, adding people, which is what screws up the spell. Why didn't Doctor Strange just, like, after the first edit, be like, okay, hold on. Who do you want to know that you are Spider-Man, and who do you not want to know that you are Spider-Man? Let's get that out of the way right now, and then I will continue to start the spell over again, instead of starting and stopping it over and over again every single time, which is what caused it to break.
He already started.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, he could have canceled the spell and been like, okay, actually, no, we're not going to do it, and then start it over.
Spell? Sorry.
I don't know.
Continue.
What I'm saying is there's a much easier way around that. Same for at the end. Why couldn't he have cast the actual spell that Peter wanted, where everyone except this focus group of people knows that he is Spider-Man and he still exists? It's not like MJ and Ned knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, or even that Peter Parker exists, is not... Like, that's not what was causing the cracks in the multiverse. So the whole, like, ultimate sacrifice thing was kind of unnecessary and overblown because it didn't need to be that serious. Like, it's almost like they artificially made it that serious because, I don't know, I feel like the ending of this movie, I think Sony had a lot to do with it, because essentially what they did, when you think about it, is they removed Spider-Man from the MCU entirely.
I mean,
because none of the Avengers remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so they don't know how to get in contact with him. He has no connection to friends, family, anything. He has essentially been removed from the MCU, and now Sony is free to do whatever they want. Which is probably what they wanted from the get-go, and Disney was probably like, you know what, yeah, sure, we're sick of fighting with you over it. We got our MCU Spider-Man movies that we wanted, go ahead, take him. Do your Spider-Man and Venom or whatever you want to go do. And we'll move on. So... And, like, I was watching the movie, and I think one of the bigger things for me is, like, I don't know, it just felt like there was something missing. Like, when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire showed up, everyone else in the theater was like, "Oh my god, it's Tobey Maguire!" And I was just kind of sitting there like, okay, like, I don't know, they're here. I don't know what you want me to say. Like,
I think
they're here.
I say this is the curse of film Twitter. This is the curse of movie hype. The fact, have you reacted any different if you had not heard a single thing about this movie?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
but that stands about every movie, not just this one in general. And even with all of the speculation about them being in the movie or not online, it still wasn't a confirmed dead set thing until they were actually in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I think for me personally, I didn't want them in the movie. I don't think they added enough to the movie that it fundamentally changed the direction of the film.
Yeah.
Because and the one scene that really like bothered me was when, you know, Tom Holland is beating the crap out of Green Goblin because he killed Aunt May and all that. And he's about to like John Walker this dude with the glider and like cut him in half.
I was like, Falcon and Winter Soldier parallels?
Tobey Maguire just shows up, grabs the thing, looks at him, and Tom Holland's like, oh yeah, okay, fine. Like total like 180 character shift because you looked at me funny. Like, what?
Well,
what?
Do you not remember his whole speech about he was like, I wanted him dead too, and I got what I wanted, and it didn't help. Do you not remember that?
No, I understand that, but still.
That was him saying...
That's a 180 character shift in like 30 seconds.
That was saying...
Less than 30 seconds.
This is him pulling him back to reality, saying, don't do this.
Still too quick. He still gave up on that whole thing way too quick.
No.
Another thing... I don't like that MJ and Peter didn't end up together. That really bothered me. And that I feel like that really detracted from my enjoyment of the film. Because Tom Holland and Zendaya are so good together.
They are.
Like,
they have incredible
not just
chemistry.
in real life, but like in the movie. They had great chemistry. I was really rooting for them.
So that is something I agree with. I think...
I will say.
They needed to. And I think they needed to end up together because all of the other Spider-Mans... Like, the whole point of having the other two Spider guys there was to... like give them closure, like fully wrap them up and let you see that they're okay. And I feel like Tom Holland's Spider-Man didn't end okay. I really think they should have ended up together. I agree.
I think one of the scenes that like I really enjoyed was when MJ fell off the building and like Tom couldn't catch her, and then Andrew runs off, grabs her, and he's standing at the bottom crying because he's like, I couldn't do this for myself, so I did it for you. Mm-hmm. Which then, of course, feels totally undercut because they don't end up together anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered if she lived or died.
Okay. No, it does matter if she lived or died.
No, it doesn't. It literally doesn't matter.
No, she was happy.
If she died and he cast the spell, it wouldn't have mattered.
She was happy because she went to MIT. Now, that's an interesting... This is an interesting question. If someone died... and then he did the spell, would they still be alive? I don't think so. No.
She still would have been dead.
Yeah.
Because all the spell did was erase Peter Parker from existence.
She deserves to live.
I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to live, but what I'm saying is the emotional weight of Andrew Garfield saving Zendaya from falling and dying was the fact that he couldn't save the love of his life. And he saved Tom Holland's love of his life.
The emotional impact.
But the emotional weight is undercut when you don't have them end up together. It doesn't matter.
The emotional weight is...
the emotional weight mattered for 5 minutes.
The emotional weight
before
is
they
heightened.
undercut it in the movie.
It's heightened because they couldn't end up together. And that's so sad.
That doesn't heighten it. That takes it away.
No, it does not.
It takes it away. It does not heighten at all.
Oh my
it takes it away and it minuses it. Anyway, moving on. I hate the spell at the end. Seems really dumb, and it seems like Marvel's way of saying, if we do make another trilogy with Tom Holland, great. If not, well, we got our conclusion and we have a logical write-off as to why he's not in any of the Avengers movies.
I need to know what you thought of the villains.
I didn't like them.
Because
I don't think they needed to be there.
Because I think that they didn't need Sandman, they didn't need the Lizard, and they didn't need Electro. Really, like,
okay,
maybe Electro a little more than the others, but like, I think Norman Osborn was like the star of the villains.
here's my thing. No, I think that's definitely true. I think performance-wise, Willem Dafoe did a great job. But here's the thing. I feel like, of course, in Homecoming we had the Vulture, and then in Far From Home we had Mysterio. And here, it's just kind of like... It almost felt like they couldn't come up with an original new villain that was in the comics, so they just kind of took all the other ones.
I think it would have been if they didn't do Sandman or the Lizard or maybe Electro. Jamie Foxx did a great job, but like, I don't really. He was kind of just kind of there and was like, I like this, and then they killed him, and so, or he just like went home. I think Mysterio should have come back. I think that would have had a bigger weight for Tom Holland Spider-Man because, like, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that started all this. And,
Right. Like, that would have tied into the beginning of the movie. And that's, like, his whole thing is there's always people, which, okay, Daredevil was in the movie, which, another unnecessary cameo that I didn't feel needed to be there.
well,
At all. They could have literally gotten any other lawyer, but it had to be Daredevil for some reason.
I'm not mad.
I'm not mad. I just think it was dumb.
He didn't have to be there, but I'm not mad that he was there.
He was there for 5 minutes
Well, do you think...
and was gone.
Well, when he showed up, because he just kind of shows up, everyone in the theater just kind of went, oh, okay then. And I think Nick Fury sent him. That's what I think. I think Nick Fury sent him.
I don't, because here's the thing. I think the only reason Daredevil was in this movie, and I understand him being in the movie is a big deal, because the Netflix Daredevil show has been up in the air on whether or not it's like truly canon to the MCU. So Daredevil as a character has been up in the air on whether or not he's canon in the MCU. So that's what this was setting up him as canon in the MCU. Now, what I'll say, like... Oh, shoot. Sorry. I blanked there for a second. What I was saying is, like, something Daredevil told Peter was like, hey, yeah, your legal case is fine. Like, you're not going to go to jail or anything. But there is going to be this court of public opinion where there's some people who are like, yeah, Spider-Man, you're great. You did nothing wrong. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is Spider-Man, you suck. Mysterio did nothing wrong. And I think they did not explore that at all. Like,
No.
the only way they explored that was J. Jonah Jameson constantly heckling Spider-Man. That was it. That was the only way. Which, regardless of whether or not he was framed for murdering Mysterio, J. Jonah Jameson was going to do that either way. Because that's what he does. He just heckles Spider-Man. He is the villain of Spider-Man.
I mean, look.
So,
the pictures of Spider-Man! Yeah.
I think... I don't know. I feel like it didn't... Like, the villains didn't really add anything to the movie. I mean, obviously they did. And the whole, like, oh, Peter wants to help them all. But, like, if you were going to do the Sinister Six, instead of using the old ones, why not just make MCU versions of these characters? Like, why don't we get an MCU version of Doc Ock, or Electro, or the Lizard, or Sandman, or Green Goblin? Like, instead of using the old ones, because using the old ones almost felt like their cop-out ticket for having the other two Spider-Men in the movie. And I think that's part of what brought it down for me. Another thing, which I was talking to my friends about this after, and I think one of the reasons this movie didn't hit with me as well as it did some other people is because I never had an intense emotional or like intense connection at all to any of the other Spider-Man movies. So like I can acknowledge, oh, Alfred Molina is coming back as Doc Ock. Whoa, he's the guy from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, or Electro is from the Amazing Spider-Man. But it's not like this big thing for me.
Yeah. I like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are legendary. He just does such an incredible job, and like everyone like really put those films together really well. But then like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films have like a classic feel to them that I feel like a lot of people really enjoy and a lot of people grew up with. So I haven't seen the Spider-Man 3. I was like back when it was like a big thing to like stay away from Spider-Man 3. Like so I haven't seen that one, but those other two like I used to really love watching, and like even before I was a big Marvel fan. So I did, like seeing him in there was like really nice. And I was never a big fan of the Amazing Spider-Man. I don't think that like Andrew Garfield is a great actor, but I don't like his portrayal of in his movies. I think this movie was the best Spider-Man movie that he's been in. But I don't know. I thought it was a little dumb how far he was going to go to heal the villains, because it was like, oh, I'm going to save them. That like I'm like, sorry Doctor Strange, stay in the mirror dimension while I try to heal these people. And it's like, it was sweet, but also like, bruh, like it costs you everything. Like you need to just like send them back. And I see what they were doing where it was like, oh, it's in his character. Like he just wants to heal everyone and he wants to save them. And that's the dilemma. Like he wants to save everyone. But I think it could have been a lot easier to just send them back. But we also know that he doesn't have the full context of these villains that we have. He hasn't seen those other movies. Like, he doesn't know. So
Right.
all like, that being said, we have to know that these are completely new to him. Like, he doesn't know all of the bad stuff that's going on. These are just like people to him. And I think that may have gotten a little lost in translation because of how much like we've studied all these other movies.
And another thing I want to say about the villains is like they didn't feel like villains in the sense of being antagonists towards Spider-Man. The only one who felt like an antagonist was Green Goblin, because he was the only one who genuinely did bad things.
Doc Ock was a protagonist. He legitimately was like a good guy for most of that movie.
Right. Aside from like the stuff at the beginning where he was fighting on the bridge, which was really dope.
That was really dope.
You know, he didn't really do villainy stuff. Or yeah, like he just like even in the end, like he shut down Electro and all that. And it was just kind of like,
well, I say the same thing about Electro. Like,
Electro didn't do anything bad.
Like,
he just like was like, I want an arc reactor so I can have more energy and just destroy the world.
and that's
or whatever.
kind of the problem with this movie, is that it requires full context.
Right.
And so the contextuality of Spider-Man is starting to just like it's the context starts to become the plot. Now, you could say Electro's a bad guy, but if you've never seen those other movies, the only reason you know he's a bad guy is because they say he's a bad guy. You don't really see him do anything that bad. And I have a problem with that, but I still see where it's coming from, where it's like all villains were just normal people at one point. So I don't know. I thought there was too many villains, but I see why they were there.
Another thing is like, I feel like this movie would have been better off without that second trailer. Like, leave it to the first one where they show Alfred Molina coming back as Doc Ock, right? Don't do the second trailer at all, where they confirm that like it was up in the air, like, oh, well, if Alfred Molina is back, then it stands to reason that everyone else would be too, which is a logical conclusion.
Yeah.
But they should have left that up in the air.
Yeah.
Because that second trailer, like,
If I can,
and you know,
yeah.
they really did a bad job with that trailer, because
They
the
screwed
dead giveaway
so
was
bad.
when the lizard got his head kicked, which, by the way, I saw that second trailer for No Way Home like 2 or 3 more times in the theater, and they fixed it.
Ooh.
They went back and took it out.
I'm so baffled by the marketing for this movie because it was so low quality.
It was. The posters all sucked, except for like 2 or 3 of them.
Now that one where he's like it's almost Spider-Verse-esque, where he's like sitting on the building and there's like all the hate posters, like that one was dope.
The one we used for this episode was pretty good too.
Yeah. But all the other ones were just crappy Photoshop, like characters being pulled in, like
I could do better
in front of a stock photo of the bridge. Like those posters were trash. And then there were so many problems with like it looked like all the trailers were just thrown together in like it was just like whatever random shots. And this is a problem I have with movies in general, not just this movie. I think the trailer should be different from the movie. Now, what I mean by that is the trailer should not tell you what's happening in the movie. It should tell you what the movie is about.
Right.
And so when I see a movie and there are trailer shots in the movie, I say that's a trailer shot and it feels cheap. Like that, like I saw where they went in and like he kicked the lizard in the movie. I saw that.
Yeah.
But I've seen that before and it felt very cheap. And this isn't just with No Way Home. Like all movies do this. They like, and I think Marvel has gotten really bad at movie trailers where they're just like showing
hold on. This is not a Marvel problem. This is Sony problem. Sony handled all of the marketing for this movie, not Marvel. Okay. Marvel is really good about showing and not showing stuff for the trailer. I mean, look how they advertised Endgame, Far From Home.
I mean, that's true.
Well, actually, no. I guess they wouldn't have done Far From Home. Well, but you see my point.
To be fair, yeah, no, you're right. Infinity War had like almost nothing like this.
Infinity War had 2 trailers. The second one was infinitely more hype than the first one. Endgame had 1 genuine trailer, and that's it.
Yeah. This really...
And I feel like...
Yeah, this is Sony's fault.
Because I know some movies need more advertising than others, right? Like, movies like... I don't know... What's a movie I saw recently? Ghostbusters. Like, Ghostbusters needs a little more advertising than No Way Home. No Way Home... They could have showed no trailers, and they still would have made the exact same amount of money as they did showing 2 trailers. Like, you did not need to convince anyone to go see this movie.
No.
And that's part of the problem is in that second trailer, they show way too much. Like, they confirm all of the other, like, villains coming back. They show all that stuff, and I'm like, do we really need to see that? Like, no. I don't know. It felt kind of dumb. And to, like, pivot totally back in a different direction. To go back to the other 2 Spider-Men, I don't like how they showed up in the movie.
Really?
I really don't. I think it was plot contrived, ? Because here's the thing. Like, Ned opens up the sling ring. That was fine. That was cool. Like, Ned being able to open portals. That's cool.
I think that's dope. Like, I really hope to see more of him doing stuff like that.
But the whole, like, show me Peter Parker, and they do it twice, and it's not, like, the same, you know, Spider. Yeah. It's not Tom Holland. And it's like, did they just get brought over when the spell came over, and they did nothing to, like, try and find the other Spider-Man? It had been, like, a solid 2 days.
Well, okay, the multiverse had opened. And so when they said, show me Peter Parker, that was Peter Parker.
No. But according to Andrew and Toby, they had already been there. This wasn't like they were opening a portal to a different universe. They were opening a portal to their timeline, their universe.
The same way the villains came in.
Right. Like, well, actually, no. When I say they were opening a portal, I mean they were opening to the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, Andrew and Toby were already in No Way Home universe. They were already in the MCU timeline. And I guess, like, couldn't find Tom Holland for some reason. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
They didn't know what was going on.
This felt like a worse version of Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh.
No cap.
Oh. That's mean.
Like, the way Into the Spider-Verse handled multiple spider people, like, they were able to find each other because of the spidey senses tingling and, like, all that. None of that
That
here.
point,
None of that.
I agree. I think they handled multiple spider people better in Into the Spider-Verse. But also, I think just the banter between the three Spider-Men was, like, legit my favorite part of the movie. Just them where they're like, oh my gosh, you can produce that, like, just right out of your body. And it was like, it was really funny and it was crazy because I was like, this movie does not feel real. I was like, I cannot believe this was made. And I really like that. I really like that it's
and
just crazy.
Here's the thing is, like, shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the three of them being on screen when their, like, masks were off was fine. But as soon as they put their masks on, because it was so dark, I could not tell the difference between the three of them.
Really?
Like, I could tell Tom apart because he
Yeah.
had, like, the black and gold, but the other two were just the standard blue and red. And it was really hard to tell the two of them apart. Their voices were kind of similar. It's kind of like, and this is a weird analogy, it's kind of like listening to the Coffee Time podcast, not sponsored. I can tell you out more so than the other two because I've spent more time with you than I have the other two. And the other two just kind of bleed together, and there was no real distinguishing difference until they took their masks off.
That's fair.
And you can obviously see, oh, that's Andrew Garfield under that
But
mask.
I didn't feel like that. I felt like I could tell. I don't want this to sound weird. I could tell which body was Andrew Garfield's. Like,
I mean, I feel like you could. He's a little, like,
he's
taller
a little taller
and leaner than
leaner.
Tobey Maguire.
I didn't have that problem, and I feel like they, like, intentionally took their masks off more than usual, like, to really...
Well, yeah, so that they could make that distinction.
And I thought there was some really stupid moments that I was like, I cannot believe this made... So, like, Andrew Garfield, like, the Amazing Spider-Man is just, like, cracking the back of the first Spider... Like, he's just like...
That was
that's
awkward.
nice. That was so funny. Like, they're just, like, buds. And he's like, he's like, I was wanted, brothers. And he's like, I love you guys. They're like, thanks. And although my favorite line throughout this whole movie is where he's like, so do you have a suit or are you just going to dress like a cool youth pastor the whole time?
No,
like,
I thought of you specifically. I was like, oh, he's going to love that line. That was great.
Because it's a great line.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of my issues from this movie, and, you know, maybe I owe it to myself to see it again. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if my friends are listening to this, no shade to you guys. I had a lot of fun. But one of my friends was very loud in the theater, like very audibly cheering and all that, which I think ended up overstimulating me, like, overall. And then that just shut off that just removed me from the movie and shut everything down. Because I had one friend on one side being super loud. I had another friend on another side being super loud. And then everyone in the audience also,
being super loud.
As a group being super loud, I think I ended up getting super overstimulated and essentially shutting down.
I think that's fair. And I think you should
So
watch
I think if I
it
see it again, I might enjoy it a little more. I'm not saying it's going to rectify all of my problems that I have with this movie. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to see it and be like, oh, never mind, it is a 10 out of 10. Like,
yeah.
I think there's still going to be issues with it, but I might enjoy it a little more. Because once we saw it, I was mentally tuned out for the rest of the night. Like, I kept zoning out from conversations. We went out to eat after, and I was sitting at the table, like, just zoned out. Yeah. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't processing. I was just zoned out.
Just Spider-Man.
And they asked me a couple times. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry. I just zoned out. That's all."
Now, you see, I felt when big hype trains are happening and you go to a movie theater that's full of people. I live in a very small town. This theater is never full. I saw F9 like the week it opened and was the only one there. Like, this theater is never full. And so whenever it is, it's so special because everyone there is on the same train of thought. Everyone there is going, whoa, or oh my gosh. And I sat next to Sam the whole time, and she can testify. I was living through the whole movie. I was freaking out. I wasn't being too loud. I was trying not to be rude or distracting to anyone.
That's what I was doing too. Like, there were a couple times where I was like, where I would shout and like get super excited, but that was like 3 times out of the entire movie. Everything else, because I like being in the environment. Like I've said on the podcast on multiple occasions, seeing Infinity War and Endgame opening weekend with all of the Marvel fans, an experience I'll never forget.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that is peak movie theater experience. And I had that here, but I'm not one of those people. I keep it very reserved to myself. I'll be like, oh my gosh, whoa, that's crazy. Whoa. Oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? Like, I'll do like the whispery type voice stuff, but I'm not going to be like, let's freaking go! Like, I'm not going to scream at the top of my lungs.
And there wasn't people like that in my theater either.
And here's the thing.
End,
if you enjoy the movie that much, good for you. I'm glad you can find that much enjoyment out of the movie. There's nothing wrong with that.
That sounds like a you problem.
It's just, you might want to bring the volume down just a little bit. Like, you're at a 10, we need you at like a 5 max. Like, 3 is surpassing the normal level you should be at a movie theater, but you should bring it down to like a 5.
This sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, this sounds... me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying it sounds like a you problem.
No,
like
this
everyone
is a
else.
problem.
This is definitely a problem with everyone
you're Ross else. Going, fellas, can we bring it down?
Gotta bring it down a little bit. I have sensitive ears, okay?
Let me tell you. That, like, when it ended, someone tried to start an applause chain and, like, no one grabbed. And I was like, sorry, guys. That's just not...
We did an applause chain at the beginning, but not at the end.
You see,
because everyone was, like, shook and waiting for the post-credit scenes.
No, we'll talk about the post-credit scene here in just a second. But this reminds me, I was at an event yesterday. I was running sound. And they were like, yeah, it was for school. And they were like, we'd like to acknowledge our 2 violinists today. And they walked up. And so I started clapping. But apparently that was not a moment for clapping. Because I clap very loud. I always clap very loud. And so I just was like, our violinist. And then everyone joined. But she was not done talking. So I accidentally cut her off with an applause chain, but
oh well, it's okay.
Oh well,
it's fine.
So that post-credit scene, as someone who has not seen Venom,
hold on.
Okay,
I want to get your thoughts. Okay. Where, like, before we jump into post-credit scenes, where do you think Spider-Man goes from here? Do you think they keep going? Like, obviously they have that Spider-Man freshman year that they confirmed back at Disney Plus Day in November. I'm pretty sure Tom Holland is coming back to do the voice because I think it's animated. I don't think it's live action. But that's still a couple years away.
So I was nervous when they said, oh, we could have Tom for 3 more movies. And I was like,
oh, they did say that.
Yeah, I was like, I love you. I love Tom Holland. But it's kind of like James Bond, where it's like, do you need the same one for so many? And I think we just legitimately need a break from Spider-Man, like, as a character. Like,
I do too.
Like, actors, I have no idea who should be the next Spider-Man. I think we should enjoy the Spider-Man we have now. But we have been saturating. He's been in so he had his
6 movies?
3 movies. Civil War.
And then Civil War, Infinity War, and
Endgame.
So yeah, he contracted for 6 movies.
So
or actually, no. Did he contract for 5 and then added on No Way Home later? Because I remember there was a lot of stuff with Sony after Far From Home.
What I'm nervous
about doing a 3rd one.
I'm nervous that they're gonna say yes, Tom Holland can have 3 more movies, and then they just give him to Sony. That's what I'm.
No, that's definitely what's gonna happen.
Of.
What do you mean?
I really hope that doesn't happen. I think we've saturated the Spider-Man market so bad.
I mean,
because they're like Venom, Morbius, Spider-Man Far From Home, and I'm like, guys, chill.
I mean, Kevin Feige did say that Spider-Man 4 is in development already, and I was like, oh great. So Tom Holland's not getting a break, is what you're telling me.
So,
because if it's in development, then that means you want it out by 2023.
yeah,
Which means he'll be filming late next year.
it's like where do you go from here? I don't think you should go anywhere from here.
I think you're done. I think
You're
instead
done.
of because it seemed like the end of this movie was really trying to set up a different thing, and like one of the things one of my friends pointed out is like this movie apparently segues perfectly into Spider-Man for PS4.
It
like
does.
the video game.
Yeah, it does.
It like
because it starts in his
segues
apartment.
right into that movie. Yeah. And he's got like the police report scanner thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they're bleeding it into a video game. I don't know how you get a movie from here.
They're pulling a
unless
Battlefront
they're just gonna
2.
adapt to the video game.
Pulling a Battlefront 2 where you had to play the campaign to make any sense of The Last Jedi.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like there was a better way to conclude this movie. Like they could have had the spell work the way it should have, air quotes, where like MJ, Ned, Doctor Strange, and all them, like even if it wasn't like all of the Avengers, if it was just Doctor Strange and then he can explain to the other Avengers what the heck is going on. But like, just because imagine like if the world forgot who Peter Parker was, he could have had a fresh start, graduated high school, gone to MIT with his friends, and it would have been great. And then you end it there, and that would have been the end. And you can be like, oh yeah, he's still like acting as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, like the whole like thing that they basically did at the end of the movie anyway. But add in that he gets to keep his friends, because you got to think in this movie he lost everything, and for what?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
and the thing I think that frustrates me most about the spell is if Tony Stark was still alive, he would have forgotten who Spider-Man was.
Well,
And that was one of the most important relationships that Peter had. Aside from, like, MJ and his aunt.
well, he did, so...
Tony Stark. Well, no. But, like, if Tony were still alive, and I know, like, the reason they did it this way is because he's not alive. But still, like, you almost essentially, by removing Tom Holland from the MCU this way, you basically erase all of the other movies he's been in. Because you go back and watch them, and now you're like, oh, well, nobody in the present timeline remembers who he is.
So...
Like, Falcon and Winter Soldier don't remember fighting him in the airport.
So, what you're saying is they la-la landed Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like it.
That's
'Cause
why
I think
I
it's stupid.
do like it. I think it's awesome. Now, I am so sad about his friends because, like, his relationship with them really is incredible. But Spider-Man freshman year sounds like he's going to college. So, like...
I think the way they explain that is freshman year is he's going, like, freshman year of high school. Like, they're doing a prequel. And showing how, like, they're doing that Spider-Man origin story that they didn't do in Homecoming.
I don't think they need that.
I mean, I don't either. I think it would be interesting to do the show.
I think it'd be
go
better
to freshman
if it
year
was
of college.
freshman year of college, but no one listens to me.
Yeah, no one listens to us.
So post-credit scenes. Am I right? How much more can you say?
They only had one post-credit scene. What do you mean?
So the fact
They had a post-credit scene in a giant ad.
Can we talk about how the second scene was just straight up a trailer?
A trailer that will be online by the end of this month.
Yeah, but
if it's not already,
I'm not necessarily mad. I'm just, I don't know. I think.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I'm super hyped for Multiverse of Madness, man. I saw Wanda on screen and I lost it. That was one of my like 3 times that I audibly screamed in the theater.
My girl
was
Wanda's
when Wanda
back.
came on screen.
My girl Wanda's back.
When she came on screen, I audibly screamed at the top of my lungs. That's my queen. She's back. Let's go.
Let's go.
Because Wanda and Sylvie are the queens of the MCU, and I will not hear any other opinions. That is fact. That is gospel.
Do you know? Do you know how long I've waited to hear what happened after WandaVision. Like,
I know,
not,
right?
Not even a year, but like it feels like a decade. Like, oh
and
my
I know
gosh.
Wanda's gonna have like more of a sub role because it is Doctor Strange's movie. Unfortunately, we don't get a whole Wanda movie. That was kind of the point of WandaVision.
Well, fair.
But it's still gonna be great that she's there. Apparently, it looked like there was another girl there. I think her name is America Chavez.
Yeah.
I think I might be butchering the pronunciation of the last name, but it's gonna be her, Wanda, Doctor Strange, and Wong. And also like Doctor Strange is evil ?
Yeah, from isn't
variant
that a
Doctor
What If?
Strange.
Isn't that a What If video episode?
No, I don't think it's the same one from What If. I don't know. This is how you should release trailers. People can't watch. You can only watch them once. Because if I could go back and watch the trailer again, I could tell you whether or not it's the What If Doctor Strange.
Exactly.
But since I can't, I'm like, oh man, is it? I don't know.
What if they would never released it online? They're like, if you saw No Way Home, you saw
Honestly,
it.
though? No. What? Wait, hold on. Here's a what if scenario for you. They don't release that trailer online. And when it comes time to release a trailer for Multiverse of Madness, they release a completely different trailer.
I wouldn't be mad. I would not be
And
mad
then
at
when
all.
No Way Home comes out on Blu-ray or whatever, they remove the trailer as a post-credit scene. So like only a select number of people actually got to see that trailer.
Yeah.
Of course it's been like videoed and pirated and it's online somewhere.
On some random Vimeo link that...
Yeah, like...
But, no, I think...
That would be dope.
Like, I'm very excited for the Multiverse of Madness. I'm nervous, though. I'm already starting to get burnt out on the multiverse.
Oh my gosh, wait, hold on. That segues perfectly. To quickly talk about the Venom post-credit scene, yeah, it literally exists just to set up
it's just for
Venom,
Sony.
the symbiote. It
Sony
exists
housekeeping.
to set up the symbiote being in the MCU
Ugh.
or the Sony timeline or wherever they want to go from here.
It was housekeeping. It was...
Yeah, and like it was really hype for people like me who saw the Venom Let There Be Carnage end credit scene where he does get whisked into the MCU. But to go back to your Marvel Burnout thing, Marvel Burnout affected how much I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Because like at the beginning of the year I was like, oh man, we get to see Spider-Man, and then we get through Black Widow and Shang-Chi and Loki and WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and What If and Hawkeye, and now I'm like...
And Eternals.
Oh yeah, Eternals. Totally forgot that movie existed. And then there's like, oh yeah, we get to see Spider-Man. Great. I mean,
like...
I was excited to go see it, but it wasn't like Endgame level
No.
excitement.
I was very excited, but I haven't been watching Hawkeye. So, like, the Marvel burnout is so real. The saturation of Marvel this year has been wild.
And they're not slowing down for next year. That's the problem. It's not like 2019 where we got all of that Marvel stuff and then they stopped for all of 2020 and then came back this year super hard. There's no break next year. We're still getting 3 movies. And here's the thing. Marvel burnout used to not be a thing because they used to release 3 or 4 movies in the same year every year. That used to be their release cycle. Is like, oh, we get a new Marvel movie every spring, summer, fall, winter. But now that there's shows in between, it's starting to feel like a burnout.
It's the kind of...
That's the problem.
That's the problem. And it's like, I can't... It's getting increasingly harder to be a diehard Marvel fan because I don't have the time to watch everything. I cannot watch every episode of Hawkeye before No Way Home or before I can't watch every episode of this. And I think part of the reason I was so excited for No Way Home is Marvel had started to be disappointing me to the point where No Way Home was before No Way Home, the last thing Marvel made that I was excited for, like legitimately excited for, was Loki. And I wasn't excited for Loki until the second episode was done. So I think Marvel is like starting to throw in some filler, and I don't like the way that's going. So what can you do but also like it's just getting so hard to like everything Marvel does.
Yeah.
Ooh.
To wrap up my general thoughts here before we dive into our deeper spoiler discussion. Just kidding. Because remember, this all tangented off of me talking about my general thoughts.
Yeah.
Overall, I would say this movie for me probably a 6 out of 10. And
Okay.
it's so weird because I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm the one who's the odd one out here. Because like you and everyone on Twitter is like, oh my gosh, this is the best movie I've ever seen. This is top 10, best Marvel movie ever made. And I'm like, I just don't understand how you can look at No Way Home and then look at every other Marvel movie and say this is their peak. This is where they've peaked.
I don't think it's the peak.
And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Did you not watch Infinity War? Did you not watch Endgame? Did you not watch Thor Ragnarok? Like, where have you been?
Okay, so that's a good point. Ragnarok might be the peak, but
Nah, I say Infinity War and Endgame. I consider that, even though
Yeah.
it's 2 separate movies, I consider them one movie.
well, they're
in my
essentially the
mind.
same.
And they're a package deal.
Yeah.
You have to watch both.
That was the peak. I don't think No Way Home is Marvel's peak by any means.
No.
I think now this is what I will say. I think it has its problems like every movie does, but if you can suspend your disbelief and watch with context, it is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, just solely because of how epic the gathering of all those people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, solely based on how epic the gathering of characters is, it will go down as one of the best comic book movies of all time.
No Way Home or Endgame?
No Way Home.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah. Please tell us what you think, because
Yeah, no, that's going to be the question of the day, is like, what did you think of No Way Home? I'm going to say try to keep it spoiler free, or like, well, here's the thing. When you post replies, people can see your replies publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like a comment section on the podcast.
Yes.
So I'm going to post a question down below in the description on Spotify. Sorry, everyone else who listens, but 62% of our listenership comes from Spotify.
Sad.
So down in the description, there will be a question that says, what was your favorite part of No Way Home? Keep it spoiler free if you can. If not, I don't know.
Well.
I mean, if you got to this point, you've obviously either
Yeah.
been spoiled about everything or you've seen the movie, so I guess
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Overall,
Now,
I would say, thought about it, everything, No Way Home for me gets like
you already gave it a 10 out of 10.
I already gave it a 10 out of 10, but that was like really high. So I was kind of
Are you readjusting for inflation?
I'm readjusting. Readjusting
I mean,
for
deflation.
inflation.
Sorry.
I would say either 8 or 9 out of 10. Probably 8.
Yeah, I'm sticking with a 6. I actually think I'm going to change my Letterboxd review to a 3.5.
No.
Yep, too late. It's already done. Speaking of which, our next episode coming out next week is a year-end review. And I talked about my 2021 films ranked, but I noted that I hadn't seen No Way Home yet. And then on this episode, because we already recorded that one, that I was going to tell you guys where I put No Way Home on my 2021 list. It did not break top 10. It got 11. In terms of the movies I've seen. Now, there are some other 2021 movies that I'm going to watch over Christmas break before the end of the year. And we will see if it gets any lower because of how good those films are. We'll see. I doubt it.
You could post the final ranking on Instagram.
Yep. The final ranking will go up on Instagram if anything changes. So I have nothing else to say about this movie. I honestly didn't think this was going to be a full episode. I thought we were going to go on for like a half hour, but then again, it is Spider-Man. So
Spider-Man. How do you talk about the biggest hype train for any movie I've seen in theaters for 30 minutes? Come on.
That's fair. I think this is also the first episode we've done a Marvel movie review. Like a first episode dedicated specifically to a Marvel movie.
Yeah, you're right, because we've done the series, but there's usually more to talk about.
Yeah.
Huh.
Doctor Strange
Well,
Multiverse of Madness
let's
review
go!
coming in May? Question mark.
Queens!
So yeah, as we wrap up here, thank you for listening today. If you want to stay up to date with the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Nerdiest Podcast. If you have a feedback or question you want to submit, you can do so through the Contact Us page on our website or the question down in the description on Spotify.
I have a feedback. No, if you enjoy what you're listening here, give 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen, because you can... When is the Spotify ranking thing coming out? Because you can actually...
I have no clue. Anchor posted about it the other day that, like, oh, you can rate podcasts on Spotify now. But, like, I've tried to go through and rate podcasts, and it's not working yet.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, like, it'll get rolled out eventually. But it is coming.
So, yeah. And the best way for us to grow really is word of mouth. So send your friends, ask them their opinions, and just let us know what you think, because I lost my train of thought. Tell your friends.
Again, thank you for listening, and we hope to see you in the next episode. Peace out.
Bye.